The action-packed PMC Rally is presented by Motorsport South Africa and its partners Toyota, Volkswagen, Ford and Sasol. It's winter time in Gauteng, which means dust. It's time to take on the PMC Rally. Welcome to round 3 of the hotly contested South African Rally Championship. After visits to both KwaZulu-Natal and Mpumalanga, the rally circus reaches the doorstep of millions of Gauteng residents for the popular PMC Rally. This will be gravel road racing at its very best, as SA's top drivers tackle one another, the stopwatch, as well as the dry and dusty dirt roads of the East Rand. The specialised rally star facility near Bufsfontein will once again play host to the forthcoming battles, while thousands of spectators will get the opportunity to get dirty and close to the action. So after 2 events of the 8-round championship, it's Leroy Poulter who heads the scoreboard on 50 points. Toyota teammate Hartman Fecken follows on 40, a further 9 points ahead of Janelle de Villiers. The Volkswagens of Hans Weiss and Henk Laanteghan have some catching up to do in 4th and 5th with 24.5 and 23 points respectively. And these are the names and faces of South Africa's finest drivers in their state-of-the-art machinery built by some of the giants of the automotive industry. It's currently all smiles for the Castrol Toyota squad of Leroy Poulter and Hartman Fecken. Poulter scored 2 successive victories so far in 2014, while new team member Hartman Fecken has a 2nd and a 3rd to his credit.
It's going well at the moment and we want to try and build on that. You know, the 1st, 2nd and 3rd in the championship, and let's see if we can keep it there.
Janelle de Villiers is another Toyota who's currently 3rd overall.
Yeah, now we're lying 3rd, better than expected.
Dutch driver Hans Weiss makes another trip to South African soil in the hope that his speed will be converted into a good result in Gauteng.
Yeah, that's true. For us, we are really confident with the car.
The same can be said of Volkswagen's young gun Henk Laanteghan, who will be more than eager to turn his season around.
We've been up there and then something happens and we fall out of it. So hopefully our luck can turn around on this one.
But speaking of turning a season around, double and defending champion Marc Cronje is still the quickest driver out there, but has very little to show for it in 2014. Will this be the start of his comeback?
Oh, absolutely. We've done a lot of homework and I think we're going back into the first stage confident.
Also expect to see the names of Gugu Zulu in his Volkswagen, as well as the Ford Fiesta of Japie van Niekerk to interfere with the top of the leaderboard. And remember to keep an eye out for the slightly older S2000 challenge machines of Namibian Wilro Dippenaar and local lad Piet Bacchus. 5 weeks have passed since the last event, and the 10 a.m. start time finally arrived at the rally car facility. Defending champion Marc Cronje is the first to be waved off the start ramp, followed by current championship leader Leroy Poulter. Hans Weiss will be 3rd, while the Toyota of Janelle de Villiers will be the 4th car on the road, ahead of Gugu Zulu and Hartman Fecken.
The PMC Rally gets underway as the countdown clock reached 0 for defending champions Marc Cronje and Robin Houten in the number 24 Ford Racing Fiesta. Exactly 2 minutes later, it's all systems go for the Castrol Toyota Yaris of current championship leaders Leroy Poulter and Alvin Coetzee. Another 2 minutes passed before Hans Weiss and Bjorn de Gant dropped the clutch in the first of the Volkswagen Sasol Racing Polos. But it did not take long for the Dutchman to pick up a problem.
And opens.
It's like this, huh? It's not nice to start with puncture.
Meanwhile, up ahead, Marc Cronje and Robin Houten were now well into the first few kilometers of stage 1 and setting a blistering pace. but Leroy Poulter and Alvin Coetzee are worthy adversaries, and the Castrol Toyota seem to be on a very similar pace early on. It's Marc Ronier who sets the first benchmark time of 14 minutes and 48 seconds on the first stage.
Just very slippery, and we're just trying to keep it on the nose.
Poulter knew that Cronje would come out with all guns blazing here in Gauteng, and it's close at the end of stage 1 as the Toyota crosses the finish in a time of 14 minutes and 50 seconds, just 2 seconds slower.
It was a bit slippery.
Up ahead, the Ford Racing Fiesta of Marc Ronier and Robin Houghton has already entered the notorious stage 2. It's the same stage that caused havoc a few years ago when almost the entire field got punctures. But not this time, as Cronje once again sets the benchmark time of 17 minutes and 42 seconds. After just one stage, the PMC Rally was already turning into a bitter fight between rivals Cronje and the Castrol Toyota of Leroy Poulter and Alvin Coetzee. Poulter has been the one to take the fight to Cronje in recent times, and this was already shaping up to be another hard-fought battle. But not this time, as the Castrol Toyota Yaris was forced to pull over to the side of the road in what surely meant the end of his challenge. Dutch driver Hans Weiss and Belgian co-driver Bjorn de Gant were a little concerned about their pace notes before the start, so a time of 15 minutes and 2 seconds was a cautious start for the Volkswagen Sasol Racing Polo driver. But there would have been smiles on their faces when they passed the stricken Toyota on the side of the road on stage 2 as they gained an overall position. Neil de Villiers and Greg Godrich were the next ones to start behind the wheel of the Imperial Toyota Yaris and set a good time of 14 minutes and 55 seconds on stage 1. And a time of 17 minutes and 48 seconds was a very competitive one on stage 2. But de Villiers had a serious problem.
Fortunately, about 3 k's from the finish, our engine let go. So we managed to limp home and just to get here, but now we can't get it started.
And this is the second of the Volkswagen Sasol Racing Polos driven by Gugu Zulu and Carl Peskin, who celebrated his birthday on the event. But no birthday present yet, as Zulu set a safe time of 15 minutes and 14 seconds on stage 1. But the present came on stage 2 when they made up 2 positions, courtesy of the retirements from Poulter and de Villiers.
Yeah, tricky, very slippery, but I think the road is actually quite good.
This is Hergen Fekken and Callan Swan, who are very familiar with these road conditions, as they set the 3rd fastest time of all on the first stage. But Poulter's retirement meant that the job of flying the Castrol Toyota flag was now firmly on their shoulders. And Fekken did not disappoint. He won stage 2 and moved into 2nd position overall, just 6 seconds behind rally leader Marc Ronier.
We had a good stage, so I'm happy with that.
And into the breach goes Volkswagen Sasol Racing's young gun Henk Latergan with Barry White in the hot seat. And no drama for the young man, who set the 5th fastest time of all on stage 1. On stage 2, Latergan goes 2 positions better by setting the 3rd fastest time, good enough to also move him up to 3rd overall. Japie van Niekerk and co-driver Gerard Snyman are behind the wheel of the 8th car on the road. And a good start for the businessman, who records the 6th fastest time in his new Africa Developments Ford Fiesta, while another solid time on stage 2 sees him tie with Hans Weiss for 5th on the leaderboard, down to every 10th of a second.
My throttle is stuck, so I get off the power, the car keeps going. I don't know if when I'm going to brake, whether the car's going to keep on pushing, so it's very difficult.
Behind the factory and S2000 cars, Namibian driver Wildo Dippenaar and co-driver Kes Naidu were putting up a good show in their PZN and North City panel beaters Toyota by leading the S2000 Challenge class and also leading the Volkswagen Polo of fellow Namibian Thilo Himmel and Armand de Tooy.
Marc Ronier leads the PMC Rally after the first 50 kilometres of gravel racing, 6 seconds ahead of Hergen Fekken, with Henk Latergan a further 5 seconds in arrears. The name of de Villiers still appears on the leaderboard as he completed stage 2, but it will soon disappear, allowing Japie van Niekerk and Hans Weiss to gain positions. It's a sad and premature end for championship leader Leroy Poulter, who was forced to retire.
We were really going nicely through, and the car all of a sudden just cut out, and just couldn't get it to start again.
At the Volkswagen camp, there were tense moments over the Henk Latergan Polo, as Volkswagen Motorsport boss Mike Rowe explains.
We've lost drive and to the rear of the car, so we're just going to change the gearbox quickly and sure we'll get it out in time.
And it's a close affair near the top of the leaderboard with Herken Fecken just 6 seconds behind the leader.
It's going well. The car's doing what I wanted to do.
And it might still be early days, but defending champion Marc Grenier is exactly where he wants to be, at the top.
I'll take what I can right now and run. So yeah, I'm quite chuffed. The car feels really great and we carry on pushing.
Just 2 more stages remain on the opening day of the PMC Rally. Stage 3 at 25 kilometres is a reverse of Stage 1, while the large crowds will be entertained on the famous Rally Stars Super Special stage to end the day's proceedings.
Marc Grenier and Robin Houghton made a promise before the start of the rally that they would do everything in their power to win the event in an effort to retain their title. And the Ford racing driver kept his promise by setting a blistering pace of 14 minutes and 1 second on stage 3. Hans Weiss and Bjorn de Gant were now also getting used to the dry and dusty roads of Gauteng and set the second fastest time of all behind the wheel of their Volkswagen Sassel Racing Polo. But it was a full 14 seconds slower than Grenier. Japie van Niekerk and Gerard Snyman started this stage tied with the Polo of Weiss, so the new Africa Developments Ford driver had everything to gain. But his time was just 1/10 of a second slower than Weiss. It could not have been any closer. The Volkswagen technicians managed to repair the problems inside the Sassel Racing Polo of Henk Latergan and Barry White, but the car left the Dunlop service park 3 minutes late, earning them a 30-second time penalty and dropping them down from 3rd to 5th overall. Herken Fecken and Callan Swan started stage 3 just 6 seconds behind the leader Marc Grenier, but Fecken did not have the best of stages on stage 3, losing 17 seconds to the leader in the process. It was, however, still fast enough for the Castle Toyota Yaris to maintain his 2nd position overall.
140 now. Right one, tight.
And Diego Zulu and Carl Peskin maintained their steady run to hang on to 6th position overall in the 3rd of the Volkswagen Sassel Racing Polos. But Zulu was now under attack from the PZN and North City panel beaters Toyota Volvo Dippenaar and Kes Naidu. Dippenaar closed the gap to Zulu on stage 3 and was now just 5 seconds behind and in 7th overall.
It was time for the famous super special stage at Rally Star, where 2 evenly matched cars race each other over different loops of the same 5 kilometres of dusty dirt roads. It's usually a spectacle for the many fans, but winter on the Highveld meant too much dust, and the organisers had no choice but to cancel the stage in the interest of safety. So Marc Grenier ends day 1 of the PMC Rally at the top of the leaderboard with a 24-second advantage over Herken Fecken. Hans Weiss is in 3rd and now 10 seconds ahead of Japie van Niekerk, who received a 10-second penalty for jumping a start, while a 30-second penalty drops Henk Latergan down into 5th. After the break, PMC Rally action continues in Gauteng, where champion Marc Grenier is setting the pace. Will he stay on top during the final day? Will Fecken challenge for the lead? Or will a 3rd player enter the fray? The sun rose over the East Rand and the cornfields near Bapsfontein at the Rally Star Motorsport facility for the final day of the Pretoria Motor Club Rally, round 3 of the 2014 South African Rally Championship. It's just one day, but more than 100 kilometres of dusty gravel roads that stood between defending champion Marc Grenier and his first victory of the season.
Yeah, absolutely. I think we're going to give it all we've got. I think we've got a good package. The car came through unscathed yesterday, so starting the day with a clean car.
Grenier leads another former double champion in the form of Toyota's Herken Fecken.
Yeah, obviously, when the other 2 engines went yesterday, we were a bit cautious. Might have dropped too much revs, so we lost a bit of time in the 3rd stage. But yeah, now everything is back to normal.
And Hans Weiss completed the overnight podium position and will probably try and catch his former teammate Fecken.
Yeah, we go for it. Just for, of course, for Hagen, you know, it's only 60 seconds.
The crowds have come out in full force to witness the battles that will now be fought on stages 5, 6 and 7. Together, these 3 stages will add nearly 60 kilometres of distance to the rally route and will no doubt have a say in the final outcome. It also means that the drivers will have to keep their cars in one piece, as the first visit to the Dunlop Service Park will only be after these 3 stages.
Overnight rally leaders Mark Rooney and Robin Houghton will once again play the role of groom, as their Ford Racing Fiesta will be the first car on the road all day long. The Castle Toyota Yaris of Hergen Ficken and Kellen Swan will follow exactly 2 minutes later on every stage in their efforts to try and chase Cronje down. But Cronje is a champion for a reason. The number 24 Ford Fiesta sets the fastest time of all on stage 5 to extend his advantage over second placed Ficken by a full 15 seconds. And a time of 17 minutes and 12 seconds on the tough stage 6 seemed unbeatable. There was simply nothing that Ficken could do, as he was forced to see his chances of reeling in the Ford disappear. Ficken was not happy with the setup change they did on his Yaris, and he had no choice but to relinquish another 20 seconds to Cronje on stage 6. And the Toyota drivers soon had more to worry about, because the 2 Volkswagen Sassel Racing Polos of 20-year-old Henk Latergan and Barry White, and the one driven by the Dutch and Belgian combination of Hans Weiss and Bjorn de Gant, were now on a charge. Both Latergan and Weiss were a little slower than Cronje on stage 5, but were faster than Ficken, as they moved closer to his second position. On stage 6, Latergan made his move. The youngster pulled a rabbit out of the hat by setting the fastest time of all, even beating Cronje by a full 13 seconds, to jump from 4th overall straight into second position, passing both his teammate Weiss and Ficken in the process.
Yeah, that stage is much better, there's much more corners, it also suits our car.
Meanwhile, Weiss had his own bit of drama playing out inside his Polo when the power steering failed.
Power steering gone. All the oil's in the front screen. You see the guy inside?
The drama inside the Hans Weiss Polo nearly played into the hands of Jaapie van Niekerk and Gerard Snyman. The new Africa Developments Ford Fiesta closed the gap to Weiss by a full 13 seconds to finish stage 6 just 1 single second behind and in 5th place overall. Gugu Zulu and Carl Peskin had every intention to join the fight for a top placing, but the Volkswagen Sassel Racing Polo driver went slightly off the road and got stuck, bringing an end to their challenge. Meanwhile, up ahead it was status quo for Mark Rooney, who claimed another stage victory on stage 7 to cement his overall lead ahead of the charging Latergan, who now had a fairly comfortable 13-second advantage over the Toyota of Hergen Ficken. And even with power steering oil still dripping from his face, Hans Weiss moved a little closer to Ficken's 3rd position overall, with a Ford of Jaapie van Niekerk in very hot pursuit, just another 3 seconds back. Behind this epic battle for podium positions, Namibian Wildo Dippenaar and Kees Snyder quietly went about their business to sneak into 6th position overall. The much older PZN and North City panel beaters Toyota was also leading the S2000 challenge class.
Cronje once again makes his mark at the top of the leaderboard with a comfortable 54-second advantage over Henk Latergan, who managed to dispose of Hergen Ficken. Hans Weiss is now in hot pursuit and just 7 seconds from a podium position. But he has Jaapie van Niekerk breathing down his neck, just a further 3 seconds back. A quick visit to the Dunlop Service Park was welcomed by both drivers and machines, while the main players had a chance to reflect on the morning stages. Hergen Ficken started the day in 2nd, but has dropped a position.
Lost a bit of time, I'm not sure why. We put in new springs yesterday and might not work for me, so we're trying the springs, we're changing back.
The man on the move was none other than Volkswagen's Henk Latergan.
I think we can just stay where we are right now, just keep the other guys behind us and not make any major mistakes.
And with a comfortable advantage of nearly a minute, Mark Cronje could now afford to think about the taste of champagne on the winner's podium.
We had 2 good stages this morning and I was quite comfortable with them. So the car feels good and it's now to maintain it to the end.
A few more stages remained before the champagne would be sprayed. Stage 8 was across the road from Rally Star, while Stage 9, or Tweefontein, was back on familiar roads, as it was used as Stage 3 the day before.
To the naked eye and through the eyes of all the spectators, it definitely did not look like Mark Ronier and Robin Houghton were taking it easy. But with a comfortable lead, the number 24 Ford Racing Fiesta driver could afford to tap off ever so slightly, and that's exactly what the defending champions did. The Castrol Toyota technicians made another small setup change to the suspension of the Yaris, driven by Hergen Fecken and Callan Swan, which seemed to have worked as they were back up to full speed. But Fecken could not prevent the Flying Dutchman Hans Weiss and his Volkswagen Sassel Racing Polo from taking over his third position. Weiss and co-driver Bjorn de Gant were literally flying, setting a few very fast times to overall Fecken and move into the final podium position, and that with only a few kilometers to go. The Volkswagen Sassel Racing Polos seem to finish strongly on every event, with Henk Latergan and Barry White also putting pedal to the metal over the final few stages. Latergan had little chance of catching Cronje, but the youngster was currently safely in second position and on course to even his best result to date. The battle for the podium places was in fact an epic one, with only around 20 seconds separating Latergan in second place and Jaapie van Niekerk in fifth. But more importantly for the new Africa Developments driver, he completed these two stages just 10 seconds behind third place and still within striking distance. Behind Van Niekerk, Wilde Duppenaar was still doing a good job of negotiating the dusty conditions from behind the wheel of the PZN and North City panel beaters Toyota, while maintaining his 6th position overall as well as the S2000 Challenge lead. The PMC Rally was now nearing its end as drivers in all classes were jockeying for their final positions. A top 10 on any round of the South African Rally Championship is definitely an achievement. And 10th on the PMC went to young Cape Townian Paul Franken and Henry Kerner in their Super 1600 Manitou Group Volkswagen Polo. They were beaten to the line by the Ford Fiesta R2 of another Cape Town pairing in the form of Ashley Haig Smith and Damien van As. 8th overall was also good enough to take the Super 1600 victory for the Yato Tools Toyota Etios R2 of Guy Bottrell and co-driver Simon Vasey-Lyle. It was the third successive victory in this class for the talented youngster who was fast making his mark in the sport of rally. And what a disappointment for Toyota's Leroy Poulter, who was forced to retire early on during day one. The engine underneath the bonnet of the Castrol Toyota was repaired overnight, allowing Poulter to compete on day 2 under Super Rally rules with severe time penalties. So his final 7th place finish may still go a long way as he managed to salvage some championship points. And with another S2000 Challenge victory to his name, Wilde Duppenaar is also well on his way to fight for Super 2000 Challenge Championship honours.
Just one more stage remained. The stage that would decide the final positions at the top of the leaderboard. It's a short 5-kilometre stage on dusty dirt roads at Rally Star in front of a large crowd.
It's also the last chance that Jaapie van Niekerk had to try and reach the podium, which was only 10 seconds away. But it just wasn't enough as Van Niekerk was forced to settle for 5th place overall. Only 4 seconds separated Hergen Fecken in 4th from a podium position, but that podium position currently belonged to Hans Weiss. And Weiss was clearly in no mood to do the Toyota driver any favours. Fecken gave it his all to reach the podium, but the Volkswagen of Weiss proved to be just a touch too quick, as the Dutchman claims 3rd place. With the final step of the podium settled, all that remained for Henk Latergan was to safely bring his Volkswagen Sassel Racing Polo home, which is exactly what he did. 2nd place overall for the young man. And after suffering 2 setbacks on the first 2 rallies of the season, what a way to return to form for defending champion Mark Ronier. It was a faultless performance by the Ford driver, who basically led the event from start to finish to claim his first victory of 2014.
Confirmation then of Mark Ronier's victory of 49 seconds over Henk Latergan. Volkswagen takes 2 steps on the podium, with Hans Weiss claiming 3rd, just 5 seconds ahead of Hergen Fecken. Jaapie van Niekerk takes 5th overall, just a further 5 seconds back. Time to wash away the East Rand dust. And what better way to do it than with a sweet taste of the victory champagne? Wilro Dippenaar gets to spray a bottle of the good stuff for his S2000 Challenge victory. And it was a tough start to the season for the Volkswagen squad, but it all came good here in Gauteng with Weiss standing on the podium.
And we lose a couple of seconds, quite a lot, but it's okay. You know, we are still on the podium and that's okay for us.
And second position equals a career best finish for 20-year-old Henk Latergan, who makes it 2 Volkswagens in the top 3.
The car was really good on the second day and everything just went smoothly and I really enjoyed it.
But the step that matters most belonged to none other than defending champion Marc Cronier, who made his intentions for the rest of the season very clear.
To come off a very difficult event and winning it, I'm chuffed, I'm over the moon.
And a reminder to join us next week for the highlights of the Super 1600 battle that took place on the PMC Rally. We now leave the dust of Bupsfontein behind to travel to the Eastern Cape for round 4 of the 2014 South African Rally Championship. It's the annual Volkswagen Rally, quite literally in Volkswagen's backyard, and one that Volkswagen will want to win more than anything else. See you in Port Elizabeth on the 11th and 12th of July. Highlights from the PMC Rally Round 3 of the 2014 South African Rally Championship was presented by Toyota, Volkswagen, Ford and Sasol.